Hey, what is going on, guys? With 2019 now officially being over, I thought it would be a really cool idea to take a look at the top 10 best Fortnite players from the last year. Now, I know best is a very subjective word, but I'm going to try to make this list as simple as possible by using one main criteria to rank the players: success at the highest level of competitive play over the past year. 2019 had a bunch of different major competitive events such as the World Cup qualifiers, the Trio Season X FNCS, the Squads Chapter 2 FNCS, you had the Winter Royale, plenty of other smaller tournaments, etc, etc. So the players that consistently placed well in those tournaments will be the ones that you see on this list. And I know these top 5/top 10 lists are always super controversial, so feel free to let me know if you think I got anything wrong. And without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, so coming in at number 10 on our list is Mr. Savage. I know Mr. Savage is a really popular name in the community, and back 5 to 6 months ago, a lot of people were calling him the best player in the game. Savage double qualified for the World Cup, which means he qualified for both duos and solos, and he was one of the most popular picks to win either of the events. He ended up finishing 14th out of 50 in duos and 29th out of 100 in solos, and he then followed that up a few months later with a 7th place finish in the Season X Trios FNCS, which is definitely solid, but other than that, he's been pretty quiet since the World Cup. He had some decent placements in the Chapter 2 Squads FNCS and Duos Winter Royale, but nothing super noteworthy. So even though Savage is a super popular name, and I think he does deserve to make this list, I think 10 is also a very fair spot for him. Moving on to number 9, we have Metro, who's another EU player, but unlike Mr. Savage, he actually didn't double qualify for the World Cup, he only qualified for duos. However, he made up for that a bit by finishing 6th out of 50 in that event, which is obviously a very strong placement. Metro's also part of the trio that absolutely dominated the Season X FNCS by finishing 1st in weeks 2, 4, and 5, and then 2nd in weeks 1 and 3. They then placed 1st in their heat, but sadly only placed 10th in the grand finals, so a little bit of a choke there. He also had a bunch of solid placements in the Chapter 2 FNCS and Winter Royale, nothing absolutely extraordinary, but a bunch of top 5s. So a super solid all-around player that I think a lot of people would say should be even higher than number 9. Coming in at number 8, we have Epic Whale, who's probably one of the least known players on the entire list. And the main reason for that is the fact that he plays on NA West, which is just a much less popular region than EU and NA East. Despite this, Epic Whale has had some incredible success in the biggest tournaments, especially the World Cup. Not only did he double qualify, but he placed 3rd out of 100 in solos and 12th out of 50 in duos, which honestly may be the best World Cup placement combo on this entire list. He also placed 4th in the Season X FNCS Grand Finals, and then 3rd in the Chapter 2 FNCS Grand Finals. But again, with those last two placements, just be aware those were both on West, so it isn't as impressive as a 3rd or a 4th finish on NA East or EU. But honestly, other than that, there really isn't anything negative you can say about Epic Whale. He's a super consistent player who showed up time and time again on Fortnite's biggest stages. Moving on to the 7th spot on our list, we have Dubs, so actually our first NA East player. Much like Epic Whale, Dubs is one of the very few players who double qualified for the World Cup and then also placed very well in both events with a 7th place finish in duos and 15th in solos. Plus, as a bonus, during World Cup qualifiers, even though you could only qualify one time per game mode, he would have qualified 4 different times for solos, which in a super competitive region like NA East is just insane. And even though he didn't have a great performance in the Season X FNCS, only placing 17th in the Grand Finals, he did much better in the Chapter 2 FNCS by consistently finishing T3 multiple different weeks, and then capping it off with a 3rd place finish in the Grand Finals. So now we're actually going to do number 6 and number 5 on our list at the same time, which are going to be Saf and Zate. And here's why I'm doing that. One of the interesting things about the past year in competitive Fortnite is that almost all the major events have been team-based, either duos, trios, or squads. The problem when it comes to Saf and Zate is they always stay on the same team no matter the game mode, which is a real rarity in comp Fortnite. Therefore, every single placement I'm about to share here is going to be the same for them with the exception of one. So Saf and Zate finished 4th in the duos portion of the World Cup, 4th in the Season X FNCS Grand Finals, and oddly enough, 4th in the Chapter 2 Grand Finals. Plus, they came in first place weeks 1, 3, and 4, and also in Heat 1. On top of all that, they also came in first place for ESL Katowice, sorry about that pronunciation, which was a super stacked duos tournament that took place back in March. The one factor that puts Zate ahead of Saf in my opinion is the fact that he also qualified for the solo portion of the World Cup. His 36th place finish wasn't insane or anything, but it's definitely better than not qualifying at all. Number 4 on our list is Aqua. Probably a little bit of a lesser known name if you don't really follow competitive, but trust me, he deserves to be here. So Aqua's biggest achievement is hands down his first place finish in the duos part of the World Cup. It simply doesn't get much bigger than that, and it's the main reason why he's so high on the list. He also double qualified like many other players we've talked about, but his 94th place finish in solos was definitely disappointing. Now, since he was a lesser known name at the time he won the Duos World Cup, a lot of people kinda wrote him off as a one-hit wonder. But he proved them all wrong by following it up with another first place finish, this time in the Season X FNCS Grand Finals. He had some decent placements in the Chapter 2 FNCS and Winter Royale, but nothing super crazy. So he double qualified for the World Cup, finished first in duos, and finished first in the Season X FNCS, so he deserves to be top 4 100%. So now we're on to the top 3, and the number 3 spot goes to Mongrel. He not only double qualified for the World Cup, but he also had great placements in both with a 6th place finish in duos and 13th place finish in solos. And he's so good that those placements were almost seen as a disappointment back then, which is just insane. He was also a part of the trio that absolutely dominated the Season X FNCS, placing first in 4 out of the 6 weeks with a 10th place finish in the Grand Finals. Also, his squad finished 2nd in the Chapter 2 FNCS. You add in some solid finishes in the Winter Royale and a few first place finishes in smaller tournaments from earlier in the year like the Lux Cup and Share the Love event, and you just have a super consistent level of domination that is totally worthy of the number 3 spot. Coming in at number 2, we have Benji Fishy. So since Benji has played a lot of the major tournaments with Mongrel, a few of their placements here are going to be the same. He was a part of the same trio that dominated the Season X FNCS, and he was a part of the squad that finished 2nd in the Chapter 2 FNCS Finals. He also double qualified for the World Cup, but his placements were actually slightly worse than Mongrel, 14th in duos, 25th in solos. And even though we're splitting hairs here, the thing that puts Benji at number 2 for me is his performance in Cash Cups. Benji has placed first in 6 different Cash Cups across roughly the last 3 months, with about 5 other top 3 to 5 placements on top of that. And I know Cash Cups aren't as important as some of the other tournaments and events we've discussed, but that level of domination is still very noteworthy, and when you combine it with everything else, I think number 2 is totally fair. And now, number 1 on this list, I'm sure you can guess, is gonna be Booga. I feel like this is going to be somewhat controversial because Booga has honestly been less consistent than a few people on this list. He didn't even double qualified for the World Cup, and he placed outside the top 20 in both the Season X and Chapter 2 FNCS Finals. But Booga also has the single most important achievement in Fortnite history, first place in the solos portion of the World Cup. And if you remember how it went down, he won the World Cup in an absolutely dominant fashion. He was in first place with 59 points, and second place only had 33. He's the undisputed king of solo Fortnite, and I think in 2020, if we get more solo events, Boogle will show why he deserves to be #1 on this list. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you watched the entire thing, be sure to let me know with a comment down the comment section below. Let me know what you thought of the list, and if there's anything you would change about it. Be sure to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications, do whatever the heck you want, and I will catch you guys next time.